GLInet has just released two new KVM over IP devices that each have a feature that I've been waiting to see for a long time. We have the Comet Pro, a sleek little device with a touchscreen, Wi-Fi connectivity, and video pass-through. Then we have the Comet PoE, a more modest looking device with, yep, you guessed it, PoE power. So let's take a look at these devices in more detail, and I'll show you how they perform and let you know if I think they're worth your money. Right off the bat, GLInet sent these over, but this video isn't sponsored and they don't get to see it or anything like that, so I can say whatever I want, poo-poo, but also pee-pee. All right, starting with the Comet Pro. This is freaking cool. And I'm not gonna lie though, the design does seem very heavily inspired by the Jet KVM. It's basically a larger version of that. The screen on the front gives us some information about the device, and during setup, you can actually set this to have a password. You can also set it to just go off if you want, but you don't seem to be able to adjust that in the UI, but maybe in a future release. In terms of port, we get USB-C for power, another USB-C for keyboard and mouse, a USB 2.0 port for accessories, gigabit RJ45, and an HDMI in and HDMI out port. Like I mentioned, we have video pass-through in here, which I'm surprised isn't more common. I mean, I guess for most servers, you don't really need the video output to an actual monitor, but I have quite a few machines in my home lab that are connected to monitors and would benefit greatly from KVM over IP. I mean, my remote Windows machine that I use for ad hoc stuff that lives in my rack is what I had this hooked up to, and it's awesome that it can also output the video to my rack display. The other big feature on here is Wi-Fi. And I know most people won't use this since I'd assume you'd be connecting this to a device that's likely hardwired, meaning that you probably have the ability to use a hardwired connection, but hey, some people don't, and having the extra option to have your KVM use a wireless connection is pretty neat. During the setup, you can choose how you want your device to connect to the network, or if you change your mind, this can be done later in the UI. Realistically, there isn't too much to talk about in terms of hardware on a KVM device. I'll just put up a little graphic here with some useful information, which also includes what you guys really care about, the price. The Comet Pro here is listed for $130, which, I mean, for what you get, I think it's pretty reasonable. Then we have our Comet PoE, which definitely gives off more traditional KVM vibes, whatever that means. But it's way more simple in its design and pretty similar in I/O. We have our gigabit PoE port, USB for mouse and keyboard, HDMI in, and the USB 2.0 port for accessories. But on the side, we also get a regular USB-C power port in case you don't want to use PoE to power it. No screen, no Wi-Fi, no video pass-through, but if you don't care about those and just want PoE, then at $110, that might be the better buy. Again, here's some specs and info if you care about that. Got it? Neat. Now, before we dive into the software side of things, let me just quickly talk about two expansion items or accessories that GLInet has here as well. This is the ATX board, which connects to your KVM via USB, then also to your computer's motherboard front panel connectors, allowing you to power on your computer from the KVM interface. For $15, this is pretty neat if your PC doesn't support Wake on LAN or you just think this is a better solution. And there is front panel pass-through, so your existing buttons will still work. And the other device we have here is the Fingerbot, which is different from the one your wife has. This is legit just a little finger that is controlled from a servo from your KVM. So if you want to be able to press a physical button remotely, there you go. $30, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I have this giant mini PC from B-Link that I'm testing out, and I figured this would be perfect for it. When I actually set it up, I'll use the double-sided tape to mount it on, but I haven't done any of the B-roll with that yet, so that's why I'm holding it like a weirdo. Anyway, let's hop into the software side of things and take a little tour. Initial setup is pretty straightforward. Just navigate to the IP of the device in any browser, set up your password, and you're ready to go. If you just leave it as is and don't touch any of the settings, it'll still work great as a KVM. But I love touching things, so over here in the settings, you can see some settings. Yeah, you guessed it. Starting with the video settings, which allows you to adjust the quality and mode, where quality adjusts the bitrate and mode will toggle between direct H.264 and WebRTC H.264. Both should be about the same, but you may have better compatibility with direct. I like web because it shows me the actual bitrate here at the bottom. Then we have some audio settings, which lets you set whether you want the speakers and microphone on or off, as well as some UI options for the keyboard and mouse. Then we have the device identity, which sets the ED-ID, basically telling your system what kind of device you're using. You'll probably leave this as default, but you also have the option to customize it here if you want. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, the option to switch to dark mode. You're welcome. And at the bottom, we have our network settings, which allows you to set up your Wi-Fi connection if you're going that route, or in the wired connection, you can set static IPs, subnets, and even the DNS server. So that's pretty nice. Then for some reason, I went back up to show you the display rotation feature. There you go, I guess. What I really wanted to see though is the difference between low and ultra video quality settings. And I mean, low is usable if you're on crappy Wi-Fi, but you'll definitely notice it when things are moving. So for office work, low is probably fine, but if you can handle the ultra, just use that. It's really not that high of a bitrate anyway. Moving on to the toolbox, we have the clipboard, which I assume you understand how that works, along with some standard shortcut key presses that you can modify. And then we have a wake on LAN feature, which is nice to have if you want to use this as your central wake on LAN device. And if you're a turbo nerd, you can access a terminal here to do, I don't know, Hackerman stuff. Accessories is where you'll see your Fingerbot or your ATX board if you want to use those. And virtual media is a nice feature as well, which lets you take files directly from whatever machine you're on and mount them directly to the host. You could use this for easy file transfers or even for ISO files to boot from. It's not a new feature by any stretch, but I do like how cleanly they've implemented here. And at the time of making this video, the App Center isn't going to overwhelm you with choices. We just have one, and that's Tailscale. To be fair, that's probably the most useful app you can have on a KVM. Toggling this on will open a web page where you can log into your Tailscale account, and just like that, your KVM will be accessible on your Tailscale network. Tailscale is freaking awesome, so I'm glad this exists, and it's probably the easiest and safest way to access your machine remotely. There is another option for remote access, and that's directly through GLINet's cloud service. This basically creates a tunnel between your device and your host through their proxy. And while it is easy, I know some people have issues with these kinds of setups. So, use it, don't use it. I don't really care. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Comet PoE is basically the same thing software-wise, except without the Wi-Fi. So when picking between these two devices, just decide if you want Wi-Fi and video pass-through or PoE. I think most home labbers are going to go with the PoE since it's cheaper and PoE-powered devices are just sexy AF. What do you think? Let me know which one you're snagging down in the comments. But if you like this video, then drop a like and subscribe for more home lab shenanigans. I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube members and my Patreons. You guys are my KVM device that's PoE powered, has video pass through, and makes me breakfast after fingerbotting me. Y'all are kinky. And if you're still watching, you're IPMI. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.